what happened to the old days when we really took personal responsibility for the health and welfare of our children instead of counting on a device to show us?
Right.
We're lazy. We've given up on the idea that humans are made for work and that work is a noble thing. It has its own benefits and rewards. Being able to sleep at night because you worked.
Well, what about like intuition, like a mother's intuition of her baby needs help?
Absolutely. We have discounted a mother's sense of intuition about her children and her family. And this is why would we can't define it, we can't measure it, we can only experience it.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, because it isn't something we can put on the internet or give it an algorithm, we discount that as an important thing of life. But you all know if there's somebody standing behind you, you're picking that up.
Yeah.
You've got your intuition. You've got your spidey sense.
Hello, and welcome to the Liminal Frequencies podcast, where we dive deep into healing frequencies from our ancestors. Frequencies of the earth and stars, sound, color, and light, and all of the subtle ways that we can tap into our unique vibration to awaken the highest timeline and integrate the fullest expression of our being. Now let's dive in. Welcome to the show. My name is Jillian, and I'm so excited to be sharing this journey with you guys. This was a vision for me to have a podcast, to be able to connect with people on a frequency level, to be able to feel and hear each other, and to generate community for people who are into the healing arts, entrepreneurs, people who are wanting to expand and transform their lives. Now, in the show notes, I have a link to join my community of spiritual entrepreneurs. I would love to have you in my community. We have a monthly networking group where we get together and talk about the different lessons that we've learned, what we've been learning from our clients. And I've been having guests every month to come and share one of their gifts, one of their talents. And so we can all just do all of this shifting together. It's so beautiful when we realize that we are mirrors of each other and we're here to show each other our deepest gifts. So that is going on once a month, and I also have a free manifestation guide if you're interested in manifesting more gifts into your life. We are on the precipice of some incredible shifts and changes, and it's so powerful to be witnessed and to witness each other through that. So this episode is really near and dear to my heart because about 2020, when everybody seemed to have some kind of healing crisis, I started becoming a barometer for EMFs, and I started having this sore throat, and I would feel it all the time until I would drive up into the mountains, and then I would be able to separate myself from that, and I could feel what it was like to just be on this earth pre-5G and cell towers. And I also noticed the dirty electricity a lot. Once I started filtering it out, I really noticed that it made me edgy, it made me uncomfortable. Usually happened in the kitchen. Usually made me want to pick a fight with whoever I was cooking dinner with. So it's been really wonderful to have somebody come and support me and say, like, here are the things that would be helpful to shift in order to reduce those EMFs. And in this episode, I pulled a card, and the card is context. And the spiritual meaning of context is there is no need to discriminate, separate, or label things as good or bad. We are one spirit, one life, one breath, living one eternal moment. Dividing life into categories brings suffering and creates imbalance. Ours is a never-ending story full of new beginnings and adventures. Embrace it, live it, love it, be it, invent it, create it, believe it, dramatize it, write about it, meditate on it, breathe it, be healed and invigorated by it. Be joyful because of it. And above all, remember that you are it. And this is interesting because we are EMF. We are always emitting a native EMF frequency which is why we can feel when somebody has a lot of energy or they're detoxing or they're upset. We can feel it in their frequency field. And so if we can just find a way to resonate with something that feels good, then we can connect back to the source and we can rewild ourselves. So with that being said, I'm so excited to jump back into the interview with Sebastian. I'm here with Sebastian. Hi, Sebastian.
Hi, John.
And thank you for joining us on the podcast. And so if you didn't catch our last episode, we got a little bit deep into connection and how we can connect deeper and how we can work with the technologies and devices that we have in this current world and make it work for us, make it our tool instead of becoming the tool of the technology.
So, Jill, I brought in a high-end consumer level radio frequency radiation detection meter, which is a lot to say.
Mouthful.
But what this does is it detects the level of radio frequency radiation from devices that emit such forces. What we're curious about in Jill's office here is what happens to be here in the office and what sort of signal it's giving off. We're expecting to hear some noise from adjacent offices where they may have wireless printers or a Wi-Fi or their own cell phones. But for now, what we're going to do is take this Safe and Sound Pro 2 broadband RF meter and turn it on. We're going to put the sound level because it gives an audio rendition of what the signals are, and you can identify what the devices are pretty much by the patterns that you hear when the meter goes on. So I'm going to turn on that meter now, Jill, and we'll hear what it tells us.
Maybe
and we'll
move
also
it a little bit away from the microphone.
yeah, it might be a little loud for the mic. So I'll start off at low level of sound. And this lights up the battery. There are 4 lights on it that have different colors. There's slight, that's green, moderate, which is yellow, high, which is orange, and extreme, which is red. Now I'm going to turn on the sound.
So it's fluctuating between moderate, high, and it did go to extreme at some point. So the moderate is, I think it's 0.1 to 10. Is that, what's
Yes.
the,
Well, that
that's
would
the
be
frequency?
That would be slight, but it's not reading a frequency, but it's giving you a power density level.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also recording the peak signal.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we listen to the sound, that loud brrr, brrr is the most powerful signal we're getting. I'm not sure what that is, but I suspect it's some sort of a Wi-Fi device, maybe a couple offices away, or it could be Jill's phone. Although
My phone's off.
she says her phone is off, it's on airplane mode, but airplane mode does not turn off GPS location
There's
or
off.
physical fitness. Oh,
It's
did you
off.
turn it completely off? Oh, that's good. All right. So this is telling us that even though there's nothing on in her office, there's plenty of stuff coming in from outside the office.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that I don't recognize. Way in the distance, there's a very loud shrieking, which is a distant cell tower. Other clicks are Bluetooth devices. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn my phone on, and we're going to listen to the sort of noise that it makes when I do. Now I just turned on my phone. This is an Apple iPhone S. And as it starts up, we should hear a significant increase in the noise.
Do you turn 5G off on your phone, or is that not an option?
Not an option.
Because it's not as new.
Yeah, it's a new phone. It doesn't specifically. I think that might be my phone. It says it's searching for a signal. It can't find anything. Oh, that's interesting. My phone cannot find a tower to connect to.
Uh-huh.
But hear that? it's attempting to find a tower.
Yeah, and that's the intensity of
So
the noise.
read the number. Let me turn this down a second.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Go ahead and read the density level on that screen there.
Which one? The top?
The one that says max.
106,000 wave. What is it? Wave.
Oh, that's microwaves.
Microwave.
Microwatts per square meter.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an extremely high level. And when we compare that to what is considered a safe level, that's 0.1 or less. This was well over 1,000, which is considered extreme. So we're talking about 106,000
And how
microwatts per
far
square
would
meter.
that be? How far would you need to be away from your phone to be safe?
You wouldn't be. You just want to turn the damn thing off. So it's probably enough of a, and now it's blinking on and off on the red, even though I have the sound off. We're still at 106,000.
Yeah.
Now, when I turn my phone off, I'm going to turn it back on again. I'm going to turn the phone off again. And we'll see if we make that sound go away. Takes a moment. There you are. That's the phone. You feel a sense of relief. I know people that could tell you if your phone was on or off.
Yeah.
The only way I know is what the meter tells me.
I might have crazy dreams. I could tell you if I had crazy dreams, it might be the phone.
It might be.
Yeah.
So that's just one of the devices we use to measure the electromagnetic radiation in your environment. Another one is an electric meter. It measures electric fields. We have magnetic fields where there are wiring errors. And we also have dirty electricity meters, which measure high-frequency voltage transients, which are created by things like LEDs. Almost all LED lights give off some nasty radiation that travels through all the wires in your house.
Yes.
Dimmer switches do the same thing.
And it's now getting a lot harder to get incandescent lights on the market.
Right.
So that's interesting.
It's kind of a good idea to use LEDs because they use less electricity, so we have more to do data mining and Bitcoin. But the truth of the matter is, how much of that do we really need in our lives?
And there's something about natural light, the incandescent light being in the natural spectrum that we resonate with. It's like light, if you think about it, it's like food for our cells. We're receiving and absorbing it. And the more we receive and absorb this kind of natural light, the less that we actually can receive of the good stuff.
That's right. Yeah, the LED light is an unnatural thing. Interesting thing is I'm also a general contractor, and we're doing work for a guy who developed the LED light for General Electric years ago. So it was fascinating to speak with him about those things, but I think he's kind of probably clueless about the high frequency voltage transients that these things are creating. They're also created by dimmer switches, I might have mentioned that, also by variable speed motors of all kinds. And the problem with dirty electricity is that the frequency of the radiation that they give off is biologically much more interactive than some of the other frequencies.
Okay.
If we talk about electric fields, they're created by our power line system, which is 60 hertz. A 60 hertz wavelength is about 3,000 miles. If we get into the wavelengths in the higher frequencies, they're much shorter. If we get into the wavelengths of things like cell towers and Wi-Fi, they're at a frequency that really affects insects. So I don't know how many people out there have noticed how few insects there are around anymore. But again, there are different reasons why that may be. The neonicotinoid insecticides and tend to kill these things off.
Can you elaborate on that? It's an insecticide that's made of nicotine? Nicotine
is part of it, I think. Yeah, any of those weed killers and bug killers are all affecting all bugs, not just the bugs you think
Yeah.
are being affected. And as a result, the entire ecological system upon which bugs thrive, and we thrive as a result, is crashing in some places.
Mm-hmm.
On a trip last summer to Idaho, where we were driving through valley bottoms where you would expect to see bugs all over the windshield, there were none. The only place we found bugs on the windshield were in some areas where we had absolutely no cell reception at all. I'm
Wow.
not saying that there's a cause and effect relationship there, because, you'd have to do a scientific experiment about that. But the proliferation of insects on the windshield was definitely associated with no Wi-Fi signal, no cell tower signals, nothing.
Wow.
Absolute silence. Because I took a meter with me so I would know. And that's kind of frightening when you think about how we count on pollinators to create to enhance our crops. Without the pollinators, we wouldn't have all the food that we have.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
if we're killing off them and all the other insects upon which all life thrives, what happens to the birds? We've seen bird populations crashing. We've seen them moving because of the change in the Earth's temperature by latitude.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people just kind of, they go on about their days without thinking about, as you were saying on that previous podcast, the big picture.
Mm-hmm.
They're focusing on, where am I going to be today? But what influence am I having over the entire environment in which I live? And how can I do a better job of contributing to that community?
What are we focusing on, too? We're not focusing on the EMFs and how that could affect our planet. We're focusing, if we're going to focus more on like methane and cows and how that's causing global warming, and create this sort of paradigm, manipulation of paradigm, so that only the people that benefit from the ecological changes will be able to implement those changes.
Oh, sure.
So it's really interesting how we can focus our energy on something that maybe doesn't make that much of a difference, and lose a big picture thing, like,
yeah,
what are we doing?
We're experiencing a huge push to put up solar panels now and have electric cars everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody's talking about the ultimate cost of producing lithium and nickel and cadmium, the other rare earth metals that are necessary for these things.
We're running out of lithium.
The total destruction of the environment in the Congo, the total destruction of the desert environments where the lithium salts are mined,
Mm-hmm.
and the amount of diesel fuel that's consumed by this gigantic Caterpillar bulldozers and earth moving equipment that they use to get the lithium out of the ground, and the amount of energy embodied in creating lithium batteries. I use a lot of lithium batteries in my carpentry tools. There's a convenience there.
Yeah.
There are some companies now I think are recycling lithium, remanufacturing, reprocessing it,
Yeah.
which I think is it's essential.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to do it. We're in a finite
Yeah.
ecosystem here.
So you're in a Institute for Building Biology or Building Ecology group, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And you find out, because I think you meet with them weekly, correct? You find out some of the new developments, the new EMF like gadgets and tools. It's ironic. Maybe people's health breakthroughs with it. Is there anything that you want to share about that?
The group that I host is a small group of practicing electromagnetic radiation specialists. They're all over the country. Canada, upstate New York, North Carolina, Texas, Michigan, Iowa, California, Washington, Oregon. I mean, we're all over the place. And we gather together every 2 weeks and to talk for at least 2 hours. Sometimes it goes to 4.
Wow.
And we all met pretty much, most of us on the call met about 5 years ago at a seminar to begin to learn these things. And we help each other in our learning path by discussing different cases that we have and different experiences we've had with gadgets. We have one of our elder statesmen, is a guy who wrote a book about dirty electricity. His name is Bill Cadwallader. And he goes to the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas every year and reports back to us with all of the latest gadgets.
Wow.
It's appalling. I mean, we have electronic everything everywhere. We have radio frequency monitors that tell you when your baby's diaper is wet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's bad enough to have baby monitors so that you know what if they're crying, but why don't you put the bassinet in your bedroom until the kid's old enough to sleep by themselves? I could really feel where I was much more efficiently because I wasn't isolated and apart from what the visual field was because of my lenses on my glasses. It might have been because they're all smeared and dirty, but in the dark, you need everything you've got because we're not nocturnal creatures.
Yeah.
It was very interesting to just take off the glasses and then feel where I was. I think we need to achieve more of that.
Yeah.
Seek that out in our lives. That intuition, that sense of where we are, not just in the moment, but in the universe.
Yeah. That's incredible. Yeah, I think it's a great focus for mitigating the signals in your life, whether it be EMFs, whether it be blue light, whether it be a toxic personality or relationship,
mm-hmm.
whether it be an influence of social media, something that doesn't resonate with you, and learn how to clearly walk your path in a way that you won't be disturbed by all of that. And the difficult part is trusting that you know that you will be on the right path and that you will find what you need.
We have not, for many years, trusted ourselves to know what to do. And back to your partner dancing experience. You're trusting your partner to hold you if you do a dip.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to do that for each other as a society, as a culture. But so many people are so isolated from those things, they just don't know how to do that anymore. And this is why it's so important with our children to bring them back into that. I have the opportunity, starting on Saturday, to spend 10 days with my grandson because my daughter's going out of town.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a very different lifestyle for him.
Yeah.
I'm really taking great pleasure in taking the phone away and going to the beach and climbing trees and building tree houses and cooking on a fire outside and going back to the root of it all, which is, the elder and the youngster bonding and learning and playing and having fun with each other. That's super important.
And to bring it back to, I think that what he's missing is like his friends, his network, that connection, that maybe he doesn't feel like he gets to spend enough time with them, or, that this feeling that we all have that we're isolated. But what really is happening is like that we are connected to everything and anything, that we go outside and we connect to every tree and every flower, and we connect to the sunshine, and in that process we are connected. It's something that we might forget, that we're connected, and allow ourselves to be enabled into the programming that exists in order to the social media, to plug in and connect and see how everybody's doing. And I think even older generations getting kind of sucked into this, because look, you can see your grandchildren, you can see all of these pictures on Facebook or whatever, but in the reality, you're not with your grandchild. You're not able to actually share that moment. And so is it helpful or is it harmful?
Yeah, the whole idea of linking up on social network has some real benefits because we are so many times so far away from each other. I was on a Zoom call recently with some family members that were in Florida, and it was nothing but a pile of laughs. I mean, it was just great fun to see them. I mean, they were in a hot tub, splashing and carrying on, and it was just silly and fun, and almost like we were right there next door. But we shouldn't be counting on that as our only connection.
Mm-hmm.
I know that when I spend this 10 days with my grandson, I want to include his friends in that as much as is practical, because these other kids don't have these same things that I want to bring to the boy.
Yeah.
And they should also understand that it's okay to play with fire with a little bit of adult supervision. My grandson can be equally entertained by looking at the latest computer mouse on his phone, or taking pieces of aluminum and wrapping them around an odd rock from the driveway and then melting the aluminum onto the rock with a propane torch just to see if it'll take the same shape. I mean, he does these little experiments, and that sort of stuff is fun. You're understanding how the world works. I heard once that children in the high chair that are dropping their spaghetti to the floor are not doing that to piss you off. They're doing that because they're experimenting with gravity.
Yeah.
How cool is that? You pick this up and you drop it,
Right.
and it goes down.
And to
It's fascinating.
I think that it is interesting. Somebody came to me with they lost their sense of smell and taste, right? And most of the sense of smell, and it was actually RSV, I think, a viral reaction. And it's really interesting because I'm even thinking about, if you lose your sense of smell and taste, guess what? All the other senses are going to have to enhance.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had this experience of sitting down as a child eating, and it's not about just getting calories in. Like, literally, like, you're sitting there, you're having an experience with the environment. You're like, all of the senses are online. Like, as a baby, you're touching it, you're smelling it, you're tasting it, you're feeling the texture of the spaghetti on your fingers. Like, you're just all in this experience. And when we, like, nourish our bodies, when we eat, like, it's really not about any one thing. It's not about the touch, it's about the taste. You know, part of it could just be about sitting and receiving nutrients and just being with your body and having that intimate experience.
And your loved one.
Yeah.
Your dad or your mom or maybe your brother or sister feeding you. And there's that interpersonal connection that is so direct, eye to eye, food to mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, this is nurturing. This is
and the motor neurons, or I think it's the mirror neurons, that tell us that we are safe because we're seeing another human being, and that doesn't happen when we're looking at a screen. You know,
it doesn't happen on the screen.
No.
I mean, they're helpful, but they're not essential.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, do you have any thoughts about how people are listening to the program, how they can connect more with the subtle frequencies, the intuition, the insights, the things that we definitely lose when we're in that flow of life and the flow of needing to be on the phone all the time or working all the time or being indoors?
It's like any other discipline. It's like practicing your musical instrument. It's like sitting with a loved one and just telling stories. You have to set that time aside. You have to maybe not necessarily make an appointment and put it on your iCal or your alarm on your phone, but I think it's super important to, like meditation, find a place, remove all of those influences, and just be present. And if you are present, you are experiencing the immensity of the universe in a little teeny spot. And I think that's essential for your survival, for your livelihood, for your sense of self and your sense of well-being, is to be right there, present with that moment. I have followed in the past the work of Eckhart Tolle, who emphasizes the importance of being here now. And we joke about that, and it's kind of fun, but it is so true.
What's the joke?
Well, the joke is, hey, be here now. Let's just be here now. How about now? So
be here, meow.
Well, there's the meow
My
too.
cat knows all about presence.
Cat does more than anybody else. They're sitting there beatifically meditating, just patiently waiting for whatever's going to happen next. We're not so good at that. But in the past, when I felt that I was under a great deal of stress financially, emotionally, physically running my business and interacting with my employees, I had to remind myself that money is just ink on paper, and the moment that I'm in right now is all I've got.
Mm-hmm.
The history behind me doesn't matter. It's done. It's over.
Mm-hmm.
You can think about it and try to convince yourself not to make the same mistake again.
Mm-hmm.
But you can really be freaked out about what might happen in the future, but it's not here yet. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. You think you know, but it's never the same.
Yeah.
And we get so wrapped up in our story, which is what we had behind us,
Mm-hmm.
in our future, which is ahead of us. But we don't really know anything about what that's going to be. So
3 feet from your face.
3
That's
feet
all
from your
you need
face.
to-
That's all you got. So the important thing there is to try to you can speed up, or you can amplify your perception of the world around you,
Mm-hmm.
and increase your body's ability to perceive that intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
And that also enhances your perception of being in the particular moment that you're in. One way I practice that personally is I may be driving down the road, sort of in beta mode, you're sort of hypnotic and you know where you're going, you don't even have to think about it. Turn signal goes automatically, the brakes, the clutch, the thing. It's just autonomic. You're a robot in your own head.
Yeah.
But you can get out of that and become in the presence by doing a whole bunch of things at once in your mind. So I'm going down the road and I intentionally think, is the road straight or is it curved? Does the surface of the road, is it flat, is it smooth? Can I feel it through the tires? What color is the road? What color is the grass? Is the grass the same on each side? Where are the trees? Do the trees have leaves on them? Are they moving? Are they blowing? Do I see the sky? Are there clouds in the sky? Are there wires overhead? I'm trying to think of all these things at the same time, almost like a hyper-awareness of what's around me. We can do this. We can increase our mind's ability to perceive these things. It's kind of a lot of work. It can take a lot of energy to do that.
Yeah.
But it does place you firmly in the moment.
Yeah.
And it gets you away from all that stuff in your history and all that concern about what might be happening in the future. And but it takes practice.
Mm-hmm.
Just like deconnecting from the internet or your phone or the Wi-Fi or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
You have to discipline yourself in separating.
Yeah.
Any friends of mine listening to this podcast are going to say, oh, yeah, right, Seb. Yeah, show me when you're disconnecting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they don't see it because they're not with me every moment of the day.
Yeah.
But
you're kind of hard to get a hold of.
I am hard to get a hold of. And I don't worship the phone. I use it as a necessary part of my work. But I will not be driven by the phone.
Yeah.
I won't. And I want to leave that to my grandson.
Yeah.
So, important stuff for us all to demonstrate to ourselves and to our loved ones.
Yeah. Is there anything extraordinary that you noticed from working with somebody that once they were able to feel like more separated from their devices, or once they were able to feel that frequencies were a little bit more under control or more regulated, like how they felt?
There's always improvement.
Yeah.
And, you can go to the ends of the earth to try to spend a lot of money to mitigate and remove all of the influences. But you don't have to do that. Bill Cadwallader and Eric Windheimer, some of my compatriots, they say, start with good, you can go to better, and you can go to best. But the idea is to at least start.
Right. And
when you make a practice of turning off all your devices at night and you sleep better, automatically everything is better.
Mm-hmm.
Automatically.
Yeah.
It's so simple.
Yeah, for me, the sleep canopy, I have a sleep canopy when I stay in Port Angeles, and there's a lot of towers and things there and a lot of antennas. Makes a huge difference, and I tried without it for a while after, I was further along in my journey, and it really, really helps. It really just quiets things.
Yeah.
You told me also to turn off the circuits at night, and that made a huge difference too. So.
Yeah, and remember, circuit breakers are not switches.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're using them once in a while, it's probably okay.
Yeah.
The best thing is to use switches that are designed to be actuated more often. A
Oh,
breaker is a sensitive device that's attuned to overloads on the circuit,
Yeah.
or shorts,
yeah.
or sparks. And the building code recently, or the National Electric Code, has mandated all these different types of very expensive breakers, which sometimes don't really work very well.
Mhm.
And the more we utilize them as switches, the more problematic they will be.
Yeah.
But there are very easy to buy and not too expensive to install what they call disconnects.
Mm-hmm.
And they're actuated, the wiring, say, for instance, all around your bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
The ceiling, the floor, and the walls can travel through a disconnect. The disconnect can be actuated by the pressing of a button, much like a garage door opener.
It's called the disconnector?
Disconnect, yeah.
Disconnect.
There's
Cool.
there's one called a sleep switch, and they're manufactured by different companies. Safe Living Technologies has one as well,
Mm-hmm.
and they mount by the electrical service panel where all your breakers are.
Yeah.
And what the electrician does, he routes the circuits that go to the bedroom through this disconnect box.
Yeah.
And then just before you go to sleep at night, you make sure the battery's working in your clock, because you don't want an electric clock there.
Yeah.
You want a battery clock or a wind-up clock with that pleasant little tick, tick, tick. And then you just press the little button. There's a very brief, instantaneous radio frequency transmission, just a little click in the world of EMFs,
Mm-hmm.
and it shuts off the circuit at the panel. So there's no electricity in the wiring around your bedroom.
Wow, that's great.
There's a simple way to do it with a double pole switch, which disconnects the neutral and the hot in your electrical system somewhere at least 6 feet away from your bed. But it has to get all the wires around your bedroom
Uh-huh.
so that you don't have any electric fields in your bedroom at all. And if the wires are shut off, you won't get any of the high frequency voltage transients or dirty electricity either. It'll
Uh-huh.
shut them out of it. Another way, which is more expensive, is to put electrical service conduit throughout your whole house. It gets expensive though, but then you can leave the circuits on.
Okay.
But again, it's something most people don't want to pay for.
Right.
I just did a brief survey and a recommendation during a build project in Port Townsend for a woman from Germany who understands these things and wanted somebody to give her some advice about it. She was concerned about the feeder cables to the service panel were going underneath her living room in her crawl space. And I said, well, the magnetic fields will cancel,
Mm-hmm.
so you shouldn't worry about that.
Yeah.
But it will be giving off an electric field. So what we need to do is put it in metal conduit, not plastic conduit. And I told that to my friend, the electrician, who has been trained in these things. And he said, sure, we'll put it in metal conduit, no problem. It's grounded so that any electric fields that are picked up by the metal conduit are shunted down to the ground, to the electrode. So that's not an issue either.
Yeah.
And with a double pole switch at the bottom of the stairs, she can shut off her bedroom before she goes to bed without having to put in a more expensive shut-off,
Yeah.
the disconnect. So anyway, there's mechanical ways to remove these from your environment.
Mm-hmm.
Along with that, we find that some people that experience sensitivity to EMFs have distant problems in their emotional history.
Yeah.
There are people that do what they call limbic therapy, which digs deep into one's past.
Mm-hmm.
And they try to find the sources of trauma, the pain that they've experienced while they're growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Is it like DNRS?
DNRS?
Dynamic Neural Retraining System. People who have all kinds of things, chemical sensitivities, use this to help to rewire patterns in the brain, and it's a very time-committed process to do that. But it is like a one-on-one, with yourself meditation.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's some guided work that some people do, and I think that can be really therapeutic for some people, very helpful. And what we find with people that have suffered a lot of deep trauma, both physical, mental trauma, people that have experienced problems in childbirth, problems of physical, sexual, mental abuse, anything else that comes into their lives that are disturbing to their systems
Yeah.
will just enhance that. And that
Right.
could include mold and chemicals and EMFs.
It's almost like turning a light on, like, hey, you need to focus on this thing. I
Right.
do have a quick story. I was, speaking of sleep, I was in Aurora, Colorado,
Uh-huh.
which is near the airport, which
Oh, yeah.
I've heard there's maybe something weird about that with the
Yeah.
ley lines or with the EMFs, but also there's a ton of 5G towers. I think I looked it up on my phone after I woke up or didn't really sleep much. They're
I'm surprised you slept at all.
400, 500. But this was after I was exposed to, I think it was ammonia. I was in a house with a cat and I barely slept that night. I was
Oh.
just, I had a headache and I was going to a brain class. So I got to get some support and we're working with the brain and the emotions, and there's all kinds of things coming up around that, around the amygdala and around,
Uh-huh.
maybe some past trauma or even past life trauma. And so, I'm working through some of this and I'm meditating, trying to sleep, and I tune in and I hear, welcome to Verizon Wireless. And I was like, oh, okay, there's a ton of EMS here, in addition to that, knowing that it's not good for me, there's other things that we can do to clear ourselves of it, to tell the nervous system, like, okay, I'm aware of this, but I don't want to be constantly triggered by it. Like, I'm aware that, I probably shouldn't stay here again, but, so, yeah, it's really, really interesting. You get to study your brain from the inside and see how these things affect you. But that was a clear indicator for me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm dealing with some EMFs.
Well, and radar is very powerful. You can
Mhm.
pick it up on these meters very easily
Yeah,
because it has a repetitive signal
yeah.
because it's going around and around and around, that sweep.
I heard somebody saying that the doctors that they've spoken to, they won't go through the scanner at the airport, the millimeter scanner. It's
Oh,
5G.
Really? Huh.
And I don't go through it. I opt for you just say that you
down.
want to opt out, and then they just have somebody of your same gender do a little pat down, and
Mhm.
it doesn't usually take enough time that I'm worried about missing my flight or anything. Yeah. It's just, that I'd rather not travel that way.
Right. Yeah. Probably a good idea. I haven't looked into it myself.
Yeah.
No, it's important to be aware of those things and protect yourself against them. But I find in my work, I'm a very busy contractor, so I don't have much time for EMF work these days.
Mm-hmm.
But in the times I've had people that have been utterly convinced that cell tower 5 miles away is what's giving them their problems.
But it's their cell phone.
But it's their cell phone that they have in their pocket, and they're using it all day, every day. And they say, well, listen, I try to get the steering wheel away from them and have them understand that I'm the building biologist. I'm the guy that's going to tell you what I see, because I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm the one that's the disinterested third party that's just simply going to report to you what I see.
Yeah.
I tell you what I find. You tell me what you want me to do.
Yeah.
You decide. I discover, you decide.
Yeah.
And, there's so much of it that can be fixed. Now, some of our practitioners go into houses that are 5,000 square feet. They have several different electrical panels. They have magnetic fields that are shockingly terrible.
Yeah.
There's wiring errors everywhere in the house. And they have to sift through this stuff like crazy to try to sort out what's what. And simple things like the guy that brought the new dryer for their laundry room didn't disconnect the bonding link between the chassis, the ground, and the neutral.
Wow.
So the electricity goes from the neutral onto the ground, and the ground goes to the panel, and so that magnetic field goes throughout the entire house.
Wow.
And it's terrible.
Wow.
And they suddenly just snip that connector, and the problem is over. It's gone.
Wow.
And most people just don't get it. Now, most people won't feel those magnetic fields because they're odorless and tasteless and have no color or anything. But yet they have profound influence, particularly on children. So these are things that we want to be careful of in our living environment.
Yeah, protecting the future generation.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Well, this has been a great conversation. I'm sure people will have a lot of benefit from it. I
I
will
hope so.
reach out and share if you have a site or an email that you want to share if people are interested, or if people want to find a building biologist in their area, a list of your colleagues.
I will make sure that you have that on your website.
Yeah,
If you want to put a
amazing.
link there. I don't have much of a website because I simply don't have time for it, and I don't want to lead people into believing that I can jump in a car and help them tomorrow. I have to plan these things ahead. I do have clients all over the western part of the state that I see periodically,
Yeah,
from Port Angeles to Seattle, and up to Anacortes and down to Bainbridge Island.
amazing.
And these people have all expressed their appreciation for the benefit they've received from my counsel. And I get as much out of it as they do
Yeah,
because it's fascinating, it's scientific, it improves people's lives that otherwise might just be suffering in silence.
yeah.
So why be silent?
Yeah, well, anything that we can do to mitigate our frequency, to make our own frequency be able to shine brighter and stronger, and to be able to, be of service and help other people is incredible. So
That's
thank
right.
you.
Well, it's been a pleasure to be with you too, Jillian. Thank you so much for appearing on your podcast.
Yes, of course. Have a
Right.
beautiful day.
Thank you.
Thank
you as
you.
well.
That concludes our interview with Sebastian, and I learned so much about how we can mitigate our frequencies and how we can protect our electric health. Thinking about the body as these trillions of cells that all have these electrically charged cell membranes, and how every single one of those cells is resonating when something is in alignment and when something is out of alignment. So if you have the opportunity to drop in this moment, if you're not driving, connect with the energy of your heart. Connect with the infinite frequency of your heart that creates magnetism and EMF around your body, that it goes out around 10 feet. And how we can communicate to other people through the frequency of our heart. How we can signal distress, how we can signal love, and how it feels to be in the presence of somebody like a monk that's just in this full resonance with the earth. And so now, if you're resonating with your heart, you're just sending it gratitude and appreciation for the amazing things it does for you. Now resonate with the earth, with the center of the earth, knowing that it's sending off this nurturing frequency, that it is the mother of your heart. That you're receiving this frequency through the soles of your feet, that it's moving into your heart, that it's filling up your cup, and it's moving through all of your cells. Just like sitting at the base of the waterfall, you receive these incredible codes and you drop into this frequency. So I hope that you spend the rest of your day in this resonance with the natural world and the frequencies of joy and peace and forgiveness. And I also hope that you will share this show with somebody else that would also resonate with it, so that we can grow our frequency family together. Bye for now.